Hello viewers, and welcome once again to the Woke Africa show. Now I think I don't even need to tell you who is in your shot. You know who this is, the African superstar.
Wow. What a warm welcome, my goodness. Thank you, Adjua. Hello everyone. It is Jeena, the one and only African superstar.
One and only.
I am here with Adjua. Here we're in Accra, Ghana together.
Yes.
And I'm very delighted to be here on your show.
I am more delighted. So forgive me. I'm starstruck. So
oh my
when
goodness.
I go quiet and I'm just watching her, please, you need to forgive me. I'll get over myself. Anyway, people, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And always remember that the Global Black family is active. Our WhatsApp group is active. So you just have to send me an email and tell me why you want to join us, and we will get you there. It's a support group. It's a support family for everyone who wants to connect to the motherland. It's a bridge from the diaspora to the motherland. So you know what? Just email me. Now welcome, Jeena. Yes, Aquaba. So, Jeena.
Yes.
I have been watching you over the past few months that I got to know you. And I have always felt like, you are one of the ancient ones. And I always say that, yes. I think my subscribers will have an idea of what I mean by that. But you know what? Before the Sahara Desert, our ancestors were kings and queens, and they came up with all kinds of inventions. The ancient Greeks came to our ancestors for education, to get to know about technology, engineering. The information is there, and you can refer, you can research. And you know what? People, Dr. Mumbi believes this too, that the ancient ones are coming back, and they are already in our midst, and the ancestors are calling them to come back and lead us, from our slumber into our awakening. For Africa to rise on top.
Yes.
So when I call you one of the ancient ones, it's because of what I see, and I think you should check her channel out. She's the African superstar, Africa with a K, African superstar on YouTube, and you see the power this lady has.
You've been spoiling me all day. I'm telling you guys, she's really looked after me here in Ghana.
Yes, because I do appreciate our heroes. It's high time for Africa to appreciate our heroes.
Wow, thank you.
Yes, and you're one of our heroes.
Thank you so much.
Yes. So I would like to ask you.
Yes.
There's been this contention. I don't, some people, some African Americans, I would say, have this notion that the year of return was all about making money.
Yes.
And I see that most of them haven't even been to the continent.
Yes.
So I would like to ask about your opinion. What you think what has been some of the benefits of the year of return?
I think that the year of return was more of a formal campaign to invite the diaspora to come, and explore the motherland. And I think it was really great. I completely supported the year of return. I did a few videos on my channel about it, and I thought it was fantastic for Ghana. I was excited about, the economic boom that it brought, but the awareness, and I was excited, obviously as a Pan-African YouTuber, to see people getting excited about the motherland. That is very exciting. In regards to people having the negative things to say, it's not uncommon, unfortunately, many of those in the diaspora have been completely brainwashed. In the Black America, there's a lot of division among Black people. You have those that come from the Latin community. You have those that are African migrants. You have people from the Caribbean, and then you have Black Americans. And so everyone, division is the white man's language. Segregation is his language. That is, yes, divide and conquer. So if he can get this group to turn against this group, that's distraction and that's division, and that is what they want. I do not promote any of that on my channel. I believe in, unity. I support Pan-Africanism. I believe that, those of us in the diaspora have a responsibility to our homeland, and we can have a huge impact because of the access and the resources that we can, at least have access to. Some people here on the continent, they're not as able to travel around, they're not as able to access the Western currencies and all those things. So we do have things working in our favor. And I try not to focus that much on the people that are yet to do what we're doing. People that just talk and they don't have any basis from the things that they're speaking about. Like you mentioned, there will be many critics of the Year of Return, or there's many critics of Pan-Africanism, but they're not versed people. I actually I've not come across anybody on my platform, and I've never physically met someone who's come to the motherland and said, oh, I hated it. I hated the motherland. It was terrible. I don't know what these YouTubers are talking about. It was crap. I wasted my money. I have never, not once, met someone from the diaspora that has, every time I meet or speak with someone from the diaspora that has come to the motherland, it's always a positive feedback. They were so nice. They were so friendly. I really enjoyed the food. The music was great. The clothes were great. I enjoyed the weather. I felt at home. I felt at peace. These are the kind of things that I receive feedback from. So I think that those of us that are ready to take the initiative to actually begin traveling to the motherland, those experiences are favorable, and that is where we have to concentrate our energy. To the people that want to reserve their opinions without any expertise. In my opinion, that is what fools do. That is an uneducated move. Why wouldn't you want to have some basis on opinions that you have? But I believe it's fear. It's fear because once you dispel those truths, you have to then self-assess yourself, and then you begin the realization that a lot of things are false. And it can be an overwhelming and devastating experience, especially those of us that are adults. You want to think, okay, I'm educated, I'm wise, I'm making the right decisions, I have an understanding of the world, I have a command of the world. When you begin to realize that you have been deliberately brainwashed, information has been restricted from you, you've been set on a path of failure, it is just so frustrating. And it will anger you. And that's part of the reason that I have embarked on traveling into the motherland, because I realized that. I realized that probably in my early 20s, like you mentioned, we actually did a collab video on my channel, so definitely look out for that. But Ajua expressed that she began having a broader perspective when she was in the university. And I really began when I began my my corporate career. I formerly worked at a bank in America. I worked at the time, the number 2 bank, which was JP Morgan Chase. And I had aspirations of being a corporate banker. I thought I was going to make the money. I just thought I was going to live my American dream. And I began to experience the racism. I began to see the systematic processes. Obviously it's a different climate here in Africa than it is in America.
It has a different face in Africa, but it's
present. Yes. But in America, where they control all the companies, there are the police, there are the judges, they're in every position of, the high positions, they really make it evident, and you will not escalate beyond a certain point, and they regardless.
You won't escape the aggression.
So I began to realize that. And when I began to realize that, it opened the doors for the other things. I began to question religion. I began to question the media. I began to question, my education. And I realized that it was all a concerted effort. I was living in America for a time. I got married, I got divorced. I was still experiencing trouble in my professional world. So I decided to get out of America, and I moved and migrated to the UK. When I got to the UK, I realized that it was the same animal in a different format, And then when I began to travel to the motherland, I realized that the people in the motherland were completely oblivious to what was happening outside.
Exactly.
Because the media was strategically not showing them comprehensive news. They showed only glamorous things about America, or only glamorous things about the UK. And so what I realized was that from every point you stand, the direction is different, but it's all a direction that will cause division. You know, so you have Black Americans in America getting a very negative exposure to Africa. They don't see any modern Africa.
Yeah, all they see is, you know, the typical one is the children who are so lean, you know, boned up, and then have
they see
flies,
the slums, the villages,
house flies in their noses and in their mouths, and they look sickly, and they're on this desert, and this is where you see some celebrity come up.
And they're
the poor.
Yeah, look at this. Send your money now to Africa to give them a bottle of water. You know. So this is the exposure that Americans are getting, coupled with they're not getting any education, you know, beyond the slave trade. So Americans, you know, they have had such a negative connotation of the motherland. One of the things that I was fortunate enough to have that also brought in my perspective, and something that you can also offer to your children, is the opportunity to travel. For those of you that are in a position to expose your children to the international community, it is massive. I started traveling before I was of age of 10 internationally.
She has traveled the world. I can't even begin to tell you. You're just talking about me traveling. She has traveled the world. This woman has so much travel experience, and so whatever she shares, I listen with keen ears, because she's speaking from experience of Black people from across the globe. So, Africa superstar Jeena, I wanted to ask you now, for our brothers and sisters from the Caribbean, from Asia, from the from India, from Argentina, Eurasia zone, they're like Black people everywhere, mostly forgotten. If these people are trying to come back home, what advice are you going to give them? Because we find that people come in when they hear about a year of return and the hype.
Yes.
They think, I want to be part of this.
Yes.
What should they think about? Should they just make up their mind and come, and then whatever happens after that, they deal with it? Or should they have systematic plans in place to kind of like usher them in? And what kind of investments would you advise? Because to settle in a motherland, you need a source of income.
Correct.
You need to be able to support yourself and your family. So what kind of advice would you give, let's say, to a single person coming and then to a family that wants to relocate?
I mean, obviously that's a very broad question, but and it depends on the individual. Some people are like my little sister. She's a hippie girl. You know, she goes with the wind. You know, whatever.
She's my twin sister.
Yeah, she's no cares. You know, whatever type of thing.
Yes.
Her birthday was last week. Shout outs to my little sister Amani.
Shout.
Yeah. And I rang her for her birthday, and then I saw her post a picture on the beach.
Oh.
I said, "Where are you at?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm in St. Thomas for the week." So she took herself to the Caribbean for
Happy birthday, darling goddess.
So, you know, some people are like that. They don't need a lot of structure. They just kind of go and they just kind of experience it. Other people, like myself, are a little bit more meticulous. And for what I would always do and what I would recommend you do when you're doing international travel is, of course, your research. You know, you need to know where you're going to stay. You need to know the language of the land. If there's anything politically happening, that's very important. You don't want to go to a place that's having conflict. You know, or for instance, like the coronavirus in China. Yes. You know, you need to know and be abreast of current events that are happening wherever you're going. In regards to a single person, I would advise them to, you know, try to be best prepared as you can. When I moved to the UK, I actually saved up some money. I worked 2 years. I drove Uber.
Okay.
And I saved up.
Yeah. You see.
I saved money because I was really struggling with in the corporate environment. You know, there was limited upward mobility. I couldn't work extra hours. Sometimes they would say they weren't giving raises, so I wasn't able to like raise the amount of money I wanted. So I was so grateful to an alternative way. You know, those of you that are entrepreneurs, it's fantastic because you have control over additional income that when you work a formal job, you can't. So anyway, I raised up money and I picked up and I rented an Airbnb for 4 months, and I moved to the UK and I looked for a job. Now, obviously, that's the West. So they have this system. You can access jobs. When you come to Africa, the system is, it's a lot more socially based, I'd say. You need to know people, you need to be connected. If you come as someone who you're all on your own, you don't know the place and you don't know people, you may struggle initially.
You need that network,
you need it.
Of familyhood. So that's why I always, me trying to set up this global Black family, it's not just because I want a WhatsApp group. It's because, as I was telling you, every one of us, called by the ancestors to do these things, we have our talents, we have our strengths, and what we bring to the table. For this show, I was thinking that to be able to make that platform, so you would meet people, you would have people here locally
to help.
To help you. When you get down here, you'd have people to connect with.
Absolutely.
So you don't have to know someone here only to be in the motherland.
You can
still
connect.
So that is what I think my sister is.
It's excellent, yes, because this is actually what I used my social media to do. Before I took my very first trip to the motherland, I had connected with people online. And obviously, people might say it's risky.
There's risk in everything in life.
Yeah, but I mean, I think in my case, I am a good judge of character. And, I made good justice assessments of those people, and those people have become longtime friends and so on and so forth. When you have someone on the continent, it's an invaluable resource. So that is definitely something to access. And I mean, those of you that are now preparing to travel to the motherland, you have so much resources. You have YouTube, you have Facebook, you have Google, you have people giving you vlogs of what it's like. At a time when I was researching my first trip, I couldn't see this. The only people that I was seeing traveling in Africa were whites. And I didn't really want their experience because it could be different from my own.
It could.
So, but now you guys have the resources of a lot of us that are going out here and traveling to the motherland and so on and so forth. So, it's really easy to do research now. You can go on YouTube, get videos on Ghana, South Africa, Nigeria, wherever you're looking to go. You can see visuals of that place. You can have stories. You can email us and ask questions. So definitely do that. And I mean, obviously, my number one piece of advice would be do it as soon as you can.
As soon as you can.
This is definitely a window of opportunity here in the motherland, which is why other foreigners from other lands like Asia and things like that are coming here because they see the potential. The rest of the world has been developed, and Africa holds all the resources.
Yes.
So it makes sense that if you are planning for the future, your enterprise would be here. You can't develop America anymore. It's already done. You can't develop Europe anymore. You know what I mean? So the limit of prosperity that you can potentially get out there is limited as opposed to what's here. So, migrating can be challenging if migration is your goal. For others, you just want to travel. You just want to get an understanding of Africa. But my overall advice to any of you that are interested is do not delay.
I told you guys that this woman has juice. I'm telling you, like juice. Shouts to my lovely subscribers, to you, Melissa, hey, to John, hey, to Neil, Miss Teko, Clarice Don, Terrence, all of you guys, ladies and gentlemen from Asia, from the Americas, from the UK, from South Africa, from Africa, every part of this continent. You see what I always tell you, if you are black, you need to know that you support black, buy black, support black, love black, everything black. If you're not black, but you love black people, you need to stay true to who you are. You need to stay true. Yeah, I always say you need to. This is the queen of stay true. Hey, I picked that line from her. Like I wouldn't say steal because she's my sister and that's her. She inspires me that way.
Okay,
that's where I picked my stay true from. And she's the queen of stay true. So I'm going to infect you with this. Stay true to who you are.
You guys are so lucky.
Yeah.
to have this dynamic host on your channel. Wow. Adra is just flowing with fire. She's amazing.
Now, my final question.
Yes.
Now that we are, flowing with the vibe,
Yes.
we are showing to the world that negative narrative that, oh, they don't like us, it's not here nor there. I think it's more of attitude.
Yeah.
If you're going to somebody's home, you should know that you respect their home. You should go with a smiling and happy,
be nice.
be nice, and I'm sure they return, with smiles to you. So now that we have come in, we've realized that the connection is there, it's available, we can connect and all that. What advice would you give us in coexisting? Although we have different cultures, how can we coexist in this return, in this awakening and unification?
Yes.
How can we coexist?
I think
with one another?
I think that respect is key, and also being transparent. The transition is not going to be easy for all of us. It's a major change. It's different. It may be uncomfortable. You're talking about from people from the diaspora, they're kind of leaving the environment that they're familiar with. They've grown up, they've born, and coming to a new place, in their adult life and trying to start something new. I think the adjustment will be more on the side of those from the diaspora, because of their culture and their exposure. Because from what I've seen around the continent, people are always welcoming. They're always ready as long as you extend yourself to them or you show interest, and this is why another reason people criticize some Africans on the continent for being so embracing of whites. But to them they see foreigners the same. They see an Asian as a white and this and that, and they treat them all, hospitably. So
it's called Wabatinasi. If you have come, sit down.
There you go. So that's it.
Come have a seat.
And they're also growing up here without racism. So those of us that come from the outside, a lot of times we're guarded. We've had emotional problems. We've had racial encounters, and so it makes people very intense. But I think that obviously on my channel, I always promote maturity. I promote the person that has the capacity to be mature, the bigger person to be mature and to understand and foresee these things. It's not realistic that everybody's going to come and everybody's just going to bond. But when you come, that should be your mentality, is to try to create cohesiveness as much as you can. Be mature, try to be understanding, be receptive. You're coming to a new land. You need to pay attention to what's happening around you, not trying to transform the world around you to mirror America or Europe, but understanding, okay, I'm in Ghana, I'm in South Africa, I'm in Kenya, and trying to be abreast of what's happening there while trying to perhaps improve or bring your own element, but not trying to disrupt. It's a delicate balance. It would take some practice. It'll take some wisdom to figure out how to do that. But I compel those that are leaders and those that feel that they're up to task to tackle some of these complex issues, to begin to address those things so that we can try to have some level of unity.
How can we help our brothers and sisters on the continent to understand the kind of grips that religion has on our awakening, on our rising?
Ooh, that one is
I got her in the house.
That one is really tough.
So we have to tell the Jews.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I do think that people on the continent can be a little bit more receptive, because I don't think that they're rejecting the truth here. I think that the truth has been omitted. I think that they're just not had access to the truth. So I think that in our case, those of us that are from the diaspora, we have a huge role to play in this, because us choosing to leave those environments and come back to the motherland is a huge statement to the people that are here. They're going to want to know why. They're going to want to know why we would leave the place of prosperity and come back to Africa, where they're just like, oh, this place, I don't like it. So I think exposure is huge. Those of us that are from the diaspora that are coming to the continent, it's important for us to fraternize with local people, tell them what's happening, show them news articles, make them aware of information that they're not having access to give them an opportunity to have a more well-rounded view, you know, because right now, in large part, like you said, they're going off media, they're going off education, and they're going off religion. Now, as far as the religion part of that, I would have to compel people to critically think. In my opinion, religion greatly hinders our talents and abilities. It promotes us to be prayerful, and it promotes us to wait. And it also promotes us to live for the afterlife. That we're going to suffer all of our entire life. And then when we die, we're going to
go to heaven and enjoy.
Correct. So therefore, that doesn't give us any incentive to try to improve our lives now because we're waiting for tomorrow. If you are practicing religion, I would encourage you to focus on the parts of your religion that empowers you as an individual, that compels you to greatness, that promotes you to be proactive and make your life be something that you want it to be. Because although people practice religion all over the world, you see other people progressing in their countries. You see them developing. You see them, moving forward and coming up with innovations. So religion doesn't have to hinder you. But it has been a hindrance to us.
The way that we have been taught.
I do agree.
To follow religion has been a hindrance to us. African superstar. How about education?
Education, I think that we should definitely be cultivating our own curriculums. I think that's something that we've been slack in doing, and I think that it has created a lot of the brainwashing because our enemy is not going to teach us in depth our history. Especially anything that would elevate us or promote us to be great or think, they don't want us to have that awareness. So they're never going to teach it. So there's only one way for us to tell the story the way it needs to be told, and that's for us to convey it ourselves. So I do believe that we should be, homeschooling our children if you're in that position. I believe that those of you that are educators or in a position to start a school or, whatnot, that you should do those kind of things because the children is where it's important. That's why you see a lot of these campaigns honing in on the children, because if they can begin to instill these mindsets when they're young, that will usually dictate who they are as an adult. Because it's difficult when you're in your adult years to completely
kind of like do a 360 kind of turnaround.
And I mean that's why you see even here in Africa you see your parents are like drilling you with the religion as you're growing up, and education is so important, and those become foundational things in your life, and that becomes your entire direction. So we need to capture our young children's minds and, fill them with Pan-Africanism, fill them with innovation, tell them, to kind of look to be the solution to the problems. My mom used to tell me that all the time when I was growing up. She used to say, Jeena, when you find a problem, address that problem as if you're the only one with the solution. And that made me be a very assertive person because I took it on as if, okay, if I don't do this, it just can't be done.
It can't be done.
And our children have bright minds.
They can take it more.
And they're so energetic.
It can go beyond what we have attained.
Exactly.
And I wanted to ask you, STEM, science, technology, mathematics, engineering. Engineering, mathematics. For me personally, if you look at some of the videos I've done on my channel, I've talked about how important it is that we inculcate it into our children right from the onset. Because what happens is that you see that they go to high school and they have to take science, some aspect of science, not even all of it, some aspect of science as electives and treat it. So you have some people who are science students, the rest are not doing anything scientific. And the awakening is important, but I kind of feel like STEM is a very important aspect of our awakening. So how do you think so? And if you do, how can we inculcate it into our educational system to ensure that our young ones, as you were saying, can have opportunity to invent solutions to problems that are uniquely African and Black.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that comes with creating specific curriculums. When we look at the curriculums that are historic here in the motherland, they usually come from the colonial masters. So English-speaking African countries are having the British curriculums and the American curriculums and the international. Those that are in the Francophone countries are getting the French, and so on and so forth. So we, as a nation, for instance, like some African nations are taking up the torch in regards to changing their national language.
Yes.
Going back to Swahili or things like that.
I think East Africa is really improving.
Yeah, they're on the track with that. But I think that's where we start. It's cultivating curriculums that are specific to African nations or whatever, teaching them, okay, this is your history, this is your country, this is your country's history, this is our national language, and then putting the emphasis on STEM, for instance. There could be a technology school or something, whatever. But I mean, that's kind of where we start.
Wow. See,
with that.
The wisdom that this woman has, plus her passion, I'm telling you, she is an ancient one. Now, we have Africans who are stranded in China. And
because of the coronavirus.
Yes, some of these Africans wrote to their countries to say that we need you to evacuate us because we are healthy. If you don't evacuate us, we will get infected and we will die. We need help to be evacuated, and they have not received the help that they have been asking for. As much as it saddens my heart, I'm sure some of them may be watching some of our channels and they would like to know that we haven't forgotten them. So what message can you give to every single African stranded in these corona infested areas? And I'm sure they're praying and they doing a lot of things, but we need to remind them that we care about them and
absolutely
praying with them. So
definitely.
What message do you have?
Definitely, our thoughts are with you. I mean, the whole outbreak was unforeseen, and it's affecting the world, because as the travelers gone out, they've gone to various countries. But I would just send a message to you to be encouraged. Try to stay strong. Try to survive the best you can. Try to avoid contact with people that are sick or questionable, and continue to appeal as you can to the external sources that may be able to do something. I mean, it's a delicate situation. It's difficult. Nobody wants to be in that situation. But hearing again is why we also need to strengthen our homelands, because a lot of our children are going outside for education, or they think that's the only option for them to have some level of success. And then things like this happen and they're stranded. I'm pretty sure every student that went there never had in mind that something like this would happen to them. They probably thought going to China was like a godsend. I'm happy and I'm going to make money.
Scholarship.
And now there they are, and they probably wish they were back home. As we haven't currently had many cases here in Africa, only one reported so far in Egypt. So I would just send that word of encouragement. I know it's a difficult situation and you really don't know the way forward, but at this time, just try to keep your spirits as high. Keep your efforts. Maybe they'll be able to send some type of relief to you guys or something like that.
And I would like to remind you of something. You may not know, you may not even be awakened to the things we're talking about. You may not understand what we mean by the awakening, but I would like to tell you that ancestors are watching over you. If there's nothing you don't know, just have faith and just have the belief that the ancestors are watching over you. Let me give you a scientific fact to the reason why it is true that the ancestors are watching over you. For a star, for a black hole to be created, a star that is bright and burning, with fusion, nuclear fusion, burns out all its nitrogen, and then it becomes, it implodes. It implodes on its nucleus, and when it implodes on its nucleus, the pressure that comes with that implosion causes the star to explode. And when the star explodes, it's left with this sheer force of gravity. And the sheer force of gravity eats kind of like, becomes a black hole and eats up all the matter that imploded. It eats up the sun and it becomes this hole of emptiness that eats up everything in its path. So if a star dies, the spirit, the energy of that star turns into a black hole.
Wow.
And cleans the universe, and as it goes around, it eats everything in its path, which serves as a vacuum cleaner for the universe. So when a powerful force like your ancestor, somebody who was head of your family, somebody who cared and thought about your family every day, dies, they leave a mark. Their energy is there, and it is protecting you, and it is present. So if you don't believe the spiritual aspect of our reawakening, I'm telling you that the scientific fact supports it. The ancestors are watching over you. Excellent. If you're in Wuhan, if you're wherever, remember your training. Remember when we were kids, our parents would tell us to stay in our homes, because if we stay in our homes, we will not go for trouble, we will not find trouble. It's only when we go outside that we find trouble. Remember your mother's training and stay at home and believe that the ancestors are watching over you, and you will be all right.
Hey.
You will be fine.
Hey.
That's my sister.
Yes, there you go.
Yes.
That's a powerful.
So thank you so much, viewers. This segment has been amazing. This woman, she is a gem. She is a gem, and we have to uphold her so much. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much, Audrey. Thank you.
We love you.
Thank you.
And all my subscribers who got the opportunity to speak to her, you know that she's an amazing woman. So till we come your way again, I hope that in the nearest future we can sit again.
Oh, I would
and
love
then,
that.
Exchange
Yeah,
the
we're
juice.
friends now.
Yes,
we're friends.
And you're my sister. You're my
next
sister.
time I'll go to
Yes. Next time she's coming to
Never.
Pokwase. So thank you so much, and have an amazing day. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Her channel is the Africa Superstar. Look, her up on YouTube and subscribe to her channel, guys. Subscribe to her channel. Love you and stay strong. What do you say? Always say.
Until we meet again.
Stay true.